Well, today's episode is an exciting one. As you know, we have all Japanese wrestling. Our first one we're going to be reviewing and talking about is the latest ChocoPro 291. It features three matches. Of course, the newbie Miya Yatsuba will be facing off one of her instructors, Chiko Shikawa. We have tag team action taking place. Of course, another one, our last one, another tag team, the Best Bro takes on Hagane Shino and Sawade Kamen. And that does not end there. We have Pro Wrestling Way with their latest show, Detras Lazona Volume 8, Young OO. We have four interesting matches, but the main event is the one that is very interesting. It has a showdown between members of Colors. We have Rina Amikura taking on Yuko Sakura. I think this is going to be a very emotional match. And then finally, we cap things off with of New Japan Pro Wrestling with Day 2 New Beginning in Sapporo, with three title matches taking place. In the end, we have, of course, the tag team titles. Bushimon take on TMDK, Haste and Nichols. We have, of course, the junior heavyweight tag team titles, and of course, our very first title defense for the IWGP World Television title. And of course, we got some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted WrestleZone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted WrestleZone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Jay Rod here. So, let's begin with ChocoPro 291. Now, it opened up, of course, with Mei Shiru with her usual opener, what we haven't seen for quite some time. I always did like how Mei Shiru opens her show with very energetic and enthusiastic about how the show's gonna be. So let's get to that right now. Our first match we have Miya Tsuba, the new trainee, taking on Chiko Shikawa. Now I know there have been some matches these two have dealt with in the past already. Tag team, singles action, doesn't matter. But the only thing that matters is can Miya actually overcome someone like Chi? Well, the answer to that, Chi is a highly motivated and energetic wrestler. That's why she's called herself Too Much Energy. And that did not stop her until she put Mia in a submission move, which is a similar move that Desperado does, Dos, and that kind of seals the deal for her to pick up the win. Now, our next match, we have Sayaka Obihiro teaming up with Anarko Montaña. On the note here, Anarko Montaña will be his last time we'll be seeing him for quite some time in ChocoPro. They take on Antonio Honda and Masahiro Takanashi. I have to say this match was a pretty good one because I think many people are liking Anarko because he's a real fun character wrestler we've seen so far, all the way from Chile. I think he's one of those wrestlers we definitely could see more often. If he was living full time in Japan wrestling down there, we probably see him more often in ChocoPro. And he loves the show a lot. So I have to say, him with Sayako Behiro has been a quite a formidable team they have developed ever since his stay in Japan. And I thought in my mind that somehow that the usual tricks with Antonio Honda was going to be one of the factors that would heal, and of course the how to say the cleverness of Masahiro Takanashi to pick up the win. Nope, it did not go that way. It took a senton bomb by Arnako to Honda to pick up the win, but of course Masahiro Takanashi was too late to save him, so that win goes into Sayako Obihiro and Anarko Montaña, giving him his little goodbye match with a win. Now, before we get to the main event on this one, just if you guys saw this on YouTube, there was some technical difficulties, but they did manage to put the main event. It was the tag team between Hagen Shino and Sawadi Kamen taking on the Best Bro, Mei Shiruga and Balanaki. I thought this match was very interesting because I know the Best Bros had dealt with Hagane on multiple occasions in tag team action, singles action. If you guys remember, Hagane's usual tag team partner in the past was Chico Shigo when they were known as the Egg Tarts. So that kind of fits in the whole thing. But as you know, the Best Bros seems like they have gone stronger since they went on the little excursion here in the U.S. It hasn't changed a bit. Now, but most of the match, you see, it was mostly focused between Mei Suga and Sawa the Kamen. Mei Suga likes to pick a fight with anybody, even if she doesn't like the person. But in the end, of course, it was the Dolphin Press that kind of sealed the deal for the Best Bros to put away Kamen, and it was over right from there. Now, as for our Jonkin tournament, this one was a very interesting one. I did not expect it. I would assume the Best Bros would have gone all the way, but nope. Mia, who's been lucky on certain occasions, I thought so too, but nope. It was Antonio Hana who got lucky that made it all the way through. So, yeah, I think it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Uh, I think that's pretty much it. What we have with ChocoPro. So it was a pretty good show, but it's sad that see Arnako will be gone for quite some time. We won't see him. I really like the guy, so we'll see from there. So let's move on with Pro Wrestling Wave. Okay, Pro Wrestling Wave. It's been a while since I did this. This was just one of the most recent events. This one is Detras Lazona Volume 8, I believe, and it's dubbed as Young OO, something like that. So we only had 4 matches. So our first match opened up with Yuta Suzuki from another promotion. I even seen her and mentioned her on Glee. She takes on one of the much resident rosters. What's her name again? Kohaku. Again, that's her name. I have to say there was a pretty good, interesting match because they both throw in a little bit of the judo aspect. You know, where you just grab the arm and just roll them down or whatever they do. I thought that was a pretty good taste of it, but in the end, it was of course um, Kahuko with a somewhat of a underhook, uh, kind of like X Factor type that sealed the deal for her to win. I don't know what they call it, but it was pretty good. It was an interesting, uh, solid opening. So I'm not gonna take that away from anything. Our next match we have representation from World Woman Pro Wrestling Diana, Aruka Masaki. She takes on Amchan. If you guys aren't familiarized with Amchan, she is one of you don't see her. She normally wrestles as a freelancer in the independent. Was trained by Emi Sakura. She even appeared in New Blood when she teamed up with Suzuki a while back. But she was a solid wrestler. She knows what she's doing. She even participated in death matches before. But most of this matches, like you can tell, they were throwing a bit of the submission armbar type moves. It kind of did played out pretty well, but it was of course the Mahestral that always wins the match for anybody, and that includes only Umasaki. So she won by applying that. So this match goes to Umasaki with the Mahestral. Our next match we have Chi Ozara from from Pure J, another promotion in the Yoshi world. She takes on, of course, one of my favorites, Riko Kawahara. I thought this match was pretty good, but what I did like about how this is Riko, who I feel like she is rising as one of the rising stars in the freelance world. But what I like about her is that she throws in a lot of the kicks, like super kicks, front roundhouse kicks, that sort of thing. I thought that's a real nice touch, but she always finds a way to withstand every kick that she does. But this one kick, I don't know what they call it, but it's something I've seen in martial arts film that kind of plays out and knocks her out, and that picked up the win. So that's what I like. Now our main event, as I mentioned before, this is a colors showdown. We have Rina Makura taking on Yuko Sakura. Now, these two have been part of the At-Risk Girls from then on. They are about the similar age. They have teamed up on various occasions. Now, if you guys never seen these two, um, if you remember, they had a great teaming with Mina and Unagi during New Blood. That was a pretty good solid. Recently, we have seen Rina has been, how do I say, standing out on her own, doing things outside of colors, like doing matches singlesly. As you know, she was part of the Princess Kismet with Ice Ribbon with Misa Kogura and what's her name? Nao Ishikawa. But now it's like recently we've been seeing Rina mostly been teaming with Unagi and Marvelous on certain occasions. I thought that was pretty nice. But as for Yuko, not much, but I know she wants to explore, grow more. I know she has been experiencing a lot of the freelance thing that she's been doing. There has been some wins here and there, mostly from tag teams, but singles competition, that's a different story. But I thought this was a pretty good emotional match because these two are part of the same team. They're good friends. Unagi even tweeted this prior before this match ever happened. She felt Unagi tweeted saying, "I felt I was going to throw up because she did not like seeing these two facing each other." I think for Unagi, it was the same kind of experience. It mattered like with her with either with Tam or Mina or Waka. I think that sort of sets in. But normally, you probably would have thought watching this match it would have fallen to favor to Rina because she's a much bigger individual than Yuko. But I have to say Yuko really, really did not give up no matter what Rina was trying to put onto her. I was surprised how she ended this match with I don't know what they call it, but let's just call it was the same kind of move as Sonata, the skull end, and that kind of forced Rina to tap out. I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive out of Yuko. I mean, Yuko, I know she is good what she does in the ring, but I feel like she hasn't had that big match that she deserves yet. I know she'll get there. And I think the same thing with Rina. But in the end, it was Yuko with skull and move on to Rina that later have the W. So I thought this was pretty good. Especially, I think the only one that I was mostly invested is, of course, the main event, Rina and Yuko. So that's what I thought about it. I think that's pretty much it with Pro Wrestling Wave. I believe it's time for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Excuse me. All right, New Japan Pro Wrestling. We're in day 2 of the new beginning in Sapporo. Opening up match. Once again, we have the just 4 guys taking on the United Empire. As you know, the day before we saw some 2 incredible matches coming from both sides. I mean, many people would have assumed that Taichi would have had that big win against Will Ospreay. I know he'll pick up that big win. And of course, I do believe, hopefully, Taichi gets the much bigger opportunity to get a title match of an IWGP title. That's something I know for sure he probably would deserve to have. But so did Kanemaru and Doki. What an amazing match they had. However, I did like how once again they targeted TJP's knee. As you know, it was still like we're not sure if it was 100% healed, but anything could happen. I like how they were determined to pick up the to try to get their first, just 4 guys to pick up their first win. But in the end, it was the hidden blade by Will Ospreay to pick up the win, and on to Taka Michinoku giving that. So we know the just 4 guys just need a little more time to get that momentum to pick up that first win they deserve. Now our next match we have Yuto Nakashima teaming up with El Desperado, Minoru Suzuki, and Ren Narita to take on all 4 members of the House of Torture. Now, for a while we have witnessed that Ren Narita doesn't know what to make with Minoru Suzuki. Now, for some odd reason, we have seen Minoru Suzuki's interest in Ren Narita. I don't know if it's because Ren Narita came back from his little excursion calling himself the son of Strong Style. I don't know if that's something that, I don't know if he feels like, is he like the future to take it to the next level? Who knows? But I have to say, There were moments like Ren Narita did not want to tag in, but in the end, he just did. He just took care of business. And of course, it was the Cobra twist by Ren Narita to Yujiro Takahashi that forced him to tap out. However, in the post match, we did see that now Desperado, Minoru Suzuki, and Ren Narita are now on the same page, are now united. But their first order of business is the challenge for the never openweight 6-man tag team belt. So they became now, according to Evil, that those belts are retired. They said they're not gonna do it. The way I see it is this: if the New Japan matchmakers make it happen, Evil has no other choice but to do it. Or else I do have the distinct feeling either they'll be suspended or fined, whatever comes against. But they're not gonna do it. That is something that they've been talking about. So they cannot ignore, because these guys, they claim it's a done deal, it's over, no one's gonna, because they claim they are the true. Now they desecrated those titles ever since beating Chaos Show, Yoshihashi, and Goto. So now I would like to see that those titles be on the line if they're two chickens to do it. Next match, we have Bullet Club consistent of Taiji Shimori and Kenta taking on Master Wato and Hiroshi Tanahashi. Now, keep in mind, Kenta has his issues towards Tanahashi. If you guys remember, he was the one who put him out of action for quite some time. And as for Ishimori, he blames Wato for the loss of his belt because he was the one who made this into a four-way. It was supposed to be Wato and Ishimori, but no, it didn't happen that way. You probably would have thought, in a way, Wato would have had a much bigger momentum, but no, he hit his head into the exposed turnbuckle, and then all of a sudden, Ishimori used the ropes to pick up the win. You probably will tell this is not over between Ishimori and Wato. Same thing with Kenta and Tanahashi. Now we do got the other members of the Bullet Club taking the next match. We have Geto, El Fantasmo, and Jay White taking on Yado, Hikuleo, and Tama Tonga. Now, probably this is more of a preview. If you guys remember, El Fantasmo is challenging Tama for the Never Openweight Championship. And as for Jay White, he set up a stipulation where the loser leaves to Japan. So basically, it's Hikuleo versus him. So that's like it sets it. I thought it was a pretty good match. Now you can tell Phantasmo and Jay White will try to avoid their opponents that they're gonna face, but in the end, it was Yado with the crossface onto Geto, forcing him to tap. But however, while Hikuleo was trying to get his hands on Jay White, El Phantasmo used the never open weight belt to whack him in the head, sending a direct message. So this is gonna be interesting to see. Now, our next match, we have, of course, we have LIJ's Bushi, Sanada, Naito, and Shingo taking on Shota Umino, Ryosuke Taguchi, and the members of Chaos, Yano and Okada. I thought this is a pretty good match because keep in mind, Okada will be facing Shingo, putting his IWGP World Heavyweight title on the line. So you probably would have assumed this is going to be a tough battle between both teams. Not to mention Shota still longing for his little win against Naito or whatever. But it was in the end Okada with the Rainmaker onto Sanada. I think right now Sanada has been feeling like, why is he suffering these losses? So, but Okada picked up a really strong win in this match. Now, our first of three championship matches. Our first one is the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles. We have, of course, TMDK members Shane Hayes and Mikey Nichols, along with Kosa Fujita, taking on the current champions Bushimon with Goto and Hiroshi and Yoshihashi. Now, keep in mind, these two Bushimon beat RTR at Wrestle Kingdom for these titles, and of course, the MTK was one of those teams that could have been in favor to make it all the way through Tag League, but it did not happen. So they issued the challenge a while back, and I think this is going to be I think it was a really tough match between both sides. You probably would have assumed that Bushimon would have lost it, but they wouldn't do that because we know they are a well-established tag team. We have seen how much they have developed, but in the end, it was, of course, the Shoto onto Nichols to pick up the win. I thought it was a pretty good one between these two teams. So hopefully one day we can see TMDK, specifically Shane and Nichols, with the IWGP tag team titles in the future. Now, speaking of TMDK, we got the frontman, Zack Sabre Jr., putting his IWGP World Television title on the line against um, Tomohiro Ishii. Now, these two guys had fought on various occasions. Now, let's talk about this belt a little bit. You have 15 minutes to defend it, or else this will be decided under a flip the coin type. Yeah, so I think this is a pretty good match because I don't know if they took this out of the Ice Ribbon playbook. This is something I did not know about Ice Ribbon. They normally say if the title is not defended in the time limit they have, the title will have to be vacant. So I think this is a more of a similar situation between that, but I have to say if they cannot decide to flip for it, that sets it in. But I have to say this put more of the pressure of Zack Sabre Jr. knowing that yes, this is going to be a tough challenge. You have 15 minutes to beat Ishii. Now you know for a fact Ishii is no dang slouch for 1 minute. He's a tough sob, but the one thing he cannot stand is if you're saying you're strong style, and I think that's one of the things that he does not like one way or the other. But man, it was a pretty good match. But it took the Zack driver to put away Ishii for Zack Sabre Jr. to retain his title, making his first defense successful. So, who will be the next challenger? Well, we'll just got to wait and see. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a long list of people. And of course, if Zack Sabre Jr. will probably say, "Bring it on, dickheads. I'll take you all out." I know for a fact he would say that. Now, our main event is the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship between Yo and Hiromu Takahashi. Now, Yo has stepped up very well as a singles competitor. If you guys remember, during the Best of the Super Juniors, I think, was it last year or this year? I think last year. He actually had what it takes to make it to the finals until his former tag partner decided to interfere, thinking that he gets the opportunity, but it did not work that way. So, so basically, Yo really stepped up the plate. Basically, he has now picked up what he needed to do in order to pick up the win. This was one of the most best matches I've seen so far with Yo. You know, ever since 3K broke up, thanks to Show. But nonetheless, it was one of my favorite ones. But it took Hiromu Time Bomb 2 to finish off Yo, and I thought, wow. But Hiromu did say that Yo is welcome to challenge him anytime, any place, anywhere. So that's a good thing to hear. Hopefully Yo gets his first singles championship run. That's something he definitely needs. Now, right at the end, you did see that there is, of course, Desperado, who's at the commentary. You know, probably he would want another shot of that title, but I don't know when will that happen. We'll just wait and see for that. I'm sure others from the other factions will definitely be targeting this. So we'll see what happens then. So I think that's pretty much it with New Japan. I believe it's time for news updates. Okay, welcome to our news updates. Now, I want to get this one out of the way because now, if you guys remember recently, I reported it about this was coming from Brian Alvarez from Wrestling Observer. Now, the initial report is that NXT are allowing their talent to work in the independents, you know, to get them worked up, all this, make sure they get exposure, whatever the case was. However, Sean Sapp from Fightful Select has spoken with Shawn Michaels and told him about this whole thing that Brian Alvarez reported. it turned out it's not 100% true. According to what he said, that this is only a one-off. Basically, only Ivy now will be wrestling in the independent for this one show with Reality of Wrestling, which is Booker T's promotion. Now, we have seen on certain occasions when people like the Wrestling Observer or Fightful Select, they normally get this thing wrong. I mean, look what happened with Malachi Black. People presumed, both sides were presuming that Malachi Black was leaving AEW. That wasn't the case. But now we're seeing Brian Elvis reported this, saying that NXT talent are now being permitted to work in independence. I have to say, where did he get this? I mean, don't the Wrestling Observer have resources, people that can tell him if this is 100% true? I have to say, Sean Ross Sapp, I know he has the connections. I know he gets it out. But if this is what Sean Ross is saying, that only Ivy now will only have a one-off show at Reality Wrestling, I get it. But where does this whole thing with Brian Alvarez come from? I don't know. Hopefully this will be straightened out down the line. We'll just wait and see. Now, for all you Stardom fans, if you may have heard or not, they announced that there's going to be some new trainees coming from the dojo. They'll be unveiled in Corkin Hall on the 17th of February. I'm kind of excited because we haven't seen this type thing before for a while. The last person who come out of the dojo was, of course, Miyu Amasaki, who later joined Queen's Quest. Just very interesting to see how this is going to go. So we'll see. Now, for our interesting news has developed. If you guys remember, we have the first ever All-Star Junior 2023 festival that'll be taking place on March 1st. They have announced already for wrestlers that will participate in this particular event. This is who they announced: Hiromu Takahashi, El Desperado, Taiji Shimuri, Amakusa from Pro Wrestling Noah, Dragon Kid from Dragon Gate, Atsuki Aoyagi from All Japan, Musashi from Michinoku, Yuki Ueno from DDT, I already mentioned, Billy Ken Kid from Osaka Pro Wrestling. I don't know who that guy is, but hopefully I get to see him. And we already mentioned El Lindemann. And then finally, Volador Jr. from CMML. There's plenty more. So I have to say, great pick. I hope we see more coming. Now, there is a question about in TMDK in New Japan Pro Wrestling. As you know, we saw that Jonah, now goes by his WWE ring name, Bronson Reed, has made his return. However, what does this mean for one particular member who is a non-Australian native, and we're talking about Bad Dude Tito? According to what Zack Sabre Jr. mentioned, Bad Dude Tito is acknowledged that he is a member of TMDK. So okay, but the only thing he did say that he may have to change his name to an Australian or a British name. I don't know if that's gonna work, but we'll see. So I'm kind of curious about that. Now, WrestleCon has announced two things that has been announced. Ortiz will be making his guest appearance there. But as for our Super Show, the Mark Hitchcock Memorial Show on the 30th of March, Mike Bailey has announced that he will be there. I'm like, awesome. Now, West Coast Pro Wrestling announced for their West Coast Best Coast event on the 4th of March. We're going to have Masha Slamovich taking on Sandra Moon. And of course, Lita will be making her guest appearance in this independent show. So, very exciting things to hear. Now, two things have developed with Wrestling Revolver. The first one, for the upcoming event in April 6th, for Thursday, for all you Tokyo Pro Wrestling fans out there, Miyu Yamashita will be making her debut. So yes, Miyu Yamashita will be debuting in Wrestling Revolver. Now, we still don't know who her opponent is. Stand by for that until it's announced. Now, for the upcoming event for March, Drip on the 4th, our new tag team champions, the Bullet Club, ABC, Chris Bay and Ace Austin will put the titles on the line against the Rascals, Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz. So I know for a fact that's going to be a baller of a match. Now, Prestige Wrestling. We have a major debut coming in for the Roseline 5 that takes place in April 29th. Shawn Spears will be making his debut. So it's been a while since we haven't seen him in a ring. We don't know for sure if he's still with AW, but hearing him that he's going to be going to a Prestige Wrestling is going to be great. He even mentioned on Twitter that he heard nothing but great things from them. I'm excited for him that he's going to be there. Now, some of you have talked about Dragon Lee on social media, like, where is Dragon Lee? We haven't seen him. Originally, he was supposed to make his appearance in NXT and Vengeance Day. Apparently, he couldn't do it due to the fact that he was having issues with his visa. Now, this is not unheard of. Has been happened before. If you guys remember Buddy Matthews not too long ago, he had to go back to Australia to handle that. Kenny Omega just recently had to go back to Canada to deal with his visa, and that's sent it off. So in no time, we probably will see Dragon Lee make his appearance. We don't know if it's NXT. There's talk about possibly pushing him to the main roster. We just don't know. But we'll just wait and see what happens then. Now, for our GCW updates, for our Jimmy Lloyd's birthday on the 17th of February, we're going to have Jimmy Lloyd taking on Effie. Okay, that's going to be a very interesting match. I'm kind of excited to see how that plays out. Now, interesting developments for the upcoming GCW Collective of 2023. Jon Moxley will be making his appearance for New Blood 9. That's going to be on the 30th. This is something I did not expect. I know that ever since he signed a new deal with AW, that he is forbidden him to participate in the events from GCW. But going to Bloodsport, I think this is going to be really fun. I know he's participated in this. Now, still no clear who will be his opponent. I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. Now, for our Jimmy Lloyd's D-Generation F on the 31st, our first matches have been announced. We have Kenzie Page taking on Sandra Moon. That's going to be interesting. And then finally, for the 1st of April, World on Lucha, Pagano Psycho Clown makes his return. So I'm looking forward to seeing my favorite clown to make his appearance. Now, for GCW, Jersey Championship Wrestling, for their March Madness event on the 4th of March, there's going to be a match for the 2 out of 3 falls between Billy Starks and Janai Kai. So if you guys are excited want to see that, check it out. Something interesting has come up that draw my attention. Jake Hager talked a little bit about his teaming with Cesaro, known as We the People. Now, some of you may question over time, why did WWE pull the plug on this? Well, according to Jake Hager, he said this, that that they pulled the plug was because they did not think how big We the People were gonna get, and they had to shut it down. I have to say, what the hell? If there was something good, like you had how to say, something great that you're building, why shut it down? I understand. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe just they didn't think it was gonna be good or anything. This is why I don't like WWE. They cut things off when we think it's gonna be good. I just get it. So, but yeah. Now, our final update here. This is coming from Yuna Manase and of course the future of Ganbare Joshi is put on stake. Now, Yuna Manase announced that she's going to be taking a leave of absence because she got injured. There was a rupture in her left ACL. It's still no telling when she'll be back. We know that she's going to be out for some time. We just don't know when. However, apparently we were waiting for there was going to be a Ganbare Joshi tournament taking place this month, but it was announced it was going to be canceled. But however, Yuri and Yoshiko Hasegawa come out in tears, like they were appealing for this tournament to take place. I kind of was touched by it because they did not want this to be shut down. They really want to make this happen. And I think I admire Beauty and Hasegawa's, you know, how do I say, what they wanted to do. And Kenoka, who I praise him for what he did, he decided, okay, let's make it happen. So they decided to push back on this tournament on April 1st at the Yokohama Red Rant Hall. Now we still don't know much about the whole thing. I know that Onagi talked about this on her Twitter recently, right now, and she said that she would like to wrestle Yuna Manase, but I wouldn't be surprised if she participates in that tournament. But there's a lot of wrestlers we could see making appearance in the Ganbare Joshi. This is something I know that's been talked about, but we'll see what happens then. So I'll keep apprised on this particular thing, and then we'll go from there. And I think that's pretty much it what we have for our news updates. I believe it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we got AEW Dark Elevation. I haven't decided what other shows to put out. I'm still deciding on that. I know we have the new House of Glory beginning. I haven't reviewed yet. I'm looking forward to that. If there's anything else, I'll be talking about that too. So I think for now we'll just stick to what I know is going to happen, and then we'll go from there. But I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.